Hey guys, welcome back to the Social Distance Podcast. Apologies for being a week late. We explain why in the body of the show. We also talk about gravel sections and stage races. Should they be there or shouldn't they? We touch on Bernal's crash. We talk about the Winter Olympics. Jonesy.
I don't really contribute much.
Nah, but he's a stalwart. Jonesy's just another stalwart, kept the ship afloat. And we also announced the winner or the winners of the new intro. So you'll have to listen all the way to the end for that. Like, share, subscribe.
Sorry, you have to start again.
I saw smoke and mirrors.
How late am I?
30 seconds.
Oh, it's 30 seconds. I'm not even late.
Have another beer, George. Deep press, bro. Deep press. Suck it in.
Hang on, we've got a nibble.
Special guest.
Why do you hate me so much? And he pretend like he didn't understand me, but he knows it. He knows who he is.
And I'm just like one of those dumb sort of mullets at the bottom of the Girona River there who just eat anything.
I had a few Belgian beers after the race to sort of kill anything in there, so...
Johan, what are you doing? You want to come on the show?
You know what? My relationship's a bit too healthy at the moment. I need it.
When the three wise men found out that Mary was pregnant, they've all gone, oh shit, it's probably mine.
This is probably getting into the area we don't really need to talk about, but we can cut it.
That's one of the competitions, is it? Rob Dawson, I think that's from that intro.
Robbie D.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Robbie D.
No, great effort. Great effort.
Great
But I'm steering clear of calling who won this thing. I got slammed.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're a week late. We've been sort of setting a dangerous precedent of doing like a bi-weekly show. And we're always going to trip up at some point. And we've missed a week. We're a week late.
Last week was my fault. I put my hand up for the first time, and that was 100% my fault. We had a time, and then I threw it at the last minute because I thought I was busy. Then I wasn't busy, but it was too late. George is bolted. Like we can't get George on a regular WhatsApp.
And do you know
thing. Fair enough.
Endangering this? Endangering this episode is I've taken up, I've set up shop in Dad's office, and he's just walked in with a bowl of Weet-Bix and staring daggers at me, basically saying, "Get the fuck out of my office." But it's the only place I get a Wi-Fi connection. So
I think it makes you look smart with those books.
You don't need Wi-Fi with the amount of books behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what was scary? I originally had my background as this one. And I thought, there's a lot of there's a lot of rifles there behind me. I thought, that's a bit redneck. I might just go with the books. It's a little bit more cultured.
We are late. We apologise. We apologise through our social media. We don't really pull on the heartstrings too much because, let's be honest, you guys have been listening to the show for a year and a half now, and it's not the first time we've been late. And I'd like to say it'd be the last, but we can't guarantee that either, can we? But when we finally did get a schedule in place, and then once we fixed Jonesy's mishap, I got fucking COVID, and I actually got crook from COVID. And
did you?
Unlike Jonesy, who was just crook, I was crook with positive tests.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not sure about that. I don't know where you got that positive result. You didn't believe that I had it.
Well, you had 3 negative tests, didn't you?
Yeah, but I had all the symptoms, mate. I had no support. I was the boy who cried wolf.
Every one of his mates had it.
Yeah.
How was it? Do you know what I was thinking though, Bewls, is you flicked yourself double time because you got your booster, right? And you probably did it in line for the booster shot. So you also had the shit ass feeling from getting your booster, and then you actually had you doubled down and got the real deal.
Yeah, and well, I felt all right for my booster, and I had my booster probably wasn't done at a real timely point. Like you see a lot of stuff in the cycling media at the moment about when people have got the classics coming up and they don't want to get the jab before the classics or the booster before the classics because they're worried about what it can do to your performance, and maybe it can affect your performance, probably can. But I'm all for basically I just fucking get them when I can get them, and there's no ideal time. Especially in the spring when the racing is so frequent and you're racing so much. You're racing weekly, in a sense. So I was never going to find a time to get the booster. But one thing I did know for sure was that Omicron was fucking ripping the back out of Europe. And when I got here, I was like, I'm gonna I'm going to try to protect
I-
myself.
I don't think I've ever heard that statement. Omicron was fucking ripping the back out of an area, all of Europe. It's almost like that should lead the news. Omicron again is ripping the back out of Europe with more cases.
Omicron tears the ass out of the South Island of New Zealand.
Yeah.
But I had this chat with my team doctor, and because I was saying to him, I was the same as you. I was like, right, I need to get this booster because everyone's having it. Like, everyone's getting it, and if you don't have it, you croak. But I was like, I've got nationals in a few days, and I've got UAE in a week, and I was like, oh, real important. Well, UAE is a real important race for us. So I said to him, oh, I'm thinking about you holding off and getting it when I get to Europe. And he's like, mate, if you whatever little effect that booster has on you, you might be shit for a day, a couple of days. He said, you're not going to end your season, but if you get the full blown Omicron and it gets hold of you, that's the end of your year. I mean, that could be the end of your career if you're not boosted in time. So just feel shit for a day on the bike, and man, did I feel shit for a day on the bike. It was like, fuck, it's a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So you're right though, George. I got it, and then I got sick before the I guess before the booster really kicks in, because I did it. I just came in from New Zealand on the Friday, and then that weekend I got the booster, and then a few days later on the Wednesday I flew to Mallorca for the first race of the season, the 1 day races there in Mallorca, and got through the racing and everything, and then I did feel a bit shattered the day after the racing, and I was like, oh, it's normal. I just did 4 days of hard racing, and then on the Tuesday I was feeling a little bit worse, and then on Wednesday I woke up and I was crook. I had fever and I felt shit house. So then I did the testing, and then I was positive there. So I don't know where I got it, but it's in the peloton pretty like it is in the rest of the society.
Oh yeah, you're getting it yes or yes,
yeah. Like in Tour of Valencia, there was quite a lot of teams that pulled out. We pulled out.
Yeah. Like I was thinking about this. Like, you actually got it at a good time. Like, let's just say it's inevitability now. You actually, like, you don't want to have it. Say you're doing the tour and you get to late June and you haven't had it. You are going to be shitting yourself because the dog's come to see me. Hey mate, get out of here. Bugger off. Get out. And say you get to June and you haven't had it, you're going to be shitting yourself because like, well, you're going to get it, and you're probably going to get it at the tour, and you can bring your whole team down and stuff. So I wonder if we're going to get to the point where people intentionally try and get it. And like when you were a kid, you used to have was it measles parties or chickenpox parties? And like
we
I don't know
never had chickenpox parties. What happened in New Zealand?
I don't know. Maybe that was just a
no,
ruse.
it's true. Yeah, I've heard.
So you'd all have a party, so you get the pox, just so that you.
So you'd have to find some
once
kid, you'd be
when
like,
one of the kids had it. Yeah.
Yeah. The mum and dad, you're going to this guy's party. And you're like, well, I hate that guy. And like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. He's got chickenpox.
I just remember chickenpox used to have that yellow bath. My mate had chickenpox as a kid, and he had an older brother who's like 10 years older. And he walked in, and he was sitting in that yellow bath to get rid of it. And his brother thought he pissed the bath, so he gave him an absolute hiding. That's all I remember.
Himself.
Yeah, that's it.
I wonder if we're going to have COVID parties.
What happened?
Eh?
You just get cut off. No, you're back.
But I wonder if we're going to
COVID's hit you.
It's definitely made him change his dress sense. He's wearing
you look a mixed with you look a bogan version of Steve Jobs.
I got my icebreaker on. It's cold here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Like I missed quite a bit of that, but I gather you're talking about COVID parties, and it's actually not a silly idea. Like, I'm sure that if any of my team doctors are listening to this, they'll be fucking shaking their heads. But the reality is,
be careful talking about COVID parties and recommending it, because look what happened to Joe Rogan, mate. This thing could be shut down real quick.
Oh, jeez.
Misinformation.
That's been a saga, for me, that Joe Rogan. Because I followed, because I was a bit of it. Like I did listen to Joe Rogan podcast. I find him quite an interesting sort of conversationalist. And what that whole thing is for me, it's gone a bit nuts because you're like, I don't want to be a Joe Rogan apologist because for sure he's pretty marginal in some stuff, but like it's pretty amazing what you can do when you string together. Like if someone went through and strung together a highlights package from our podcast of all the like out of context with no context and just highlighted,
Oh
you know
yeah.
what I mean? You could create a pretty damning video. And I've seen a couple of videos going around from Joe Rogan. You think, shit, that's not the Joe Rogan I've been listening to. You know, and they've cut together a few videos of sorts of stuff. And like to his credit, he's come out and tried to front foot it. But like just the risk of being cancelled these days is unreal. And the misinformation thing's pretty interesting because he also had a lot of guests on there that were like, like some of the guests that were bad were nutters, and then there was obviously good guests on there, like real virologists that were, obviously super pro-vaccine and this and that and spreading correct information about it. And he just sort of gives everybody a bit of a forum, a bit of a platform to talk and not necessarily engages too much. Like, I mean, okay, he had some pretty left field views and things that obviously were a bit cooked and probably incorrect, but like he just gave people a platform. And if you also spread a lot of good information from a lot of the top virologists, especially and you just realize just by providing people a platform, you're in danger as well, right?
Well,
Like
I think it was a bit.
What if we had a guest on and he turns into an absolute nut job and we went, oh, that's entertaining, let's put the episode up anyway? Are we,
I think it was a problem. Biggest problem with Spotify is like the musicians get such a small clip of the ticket, yet Spotify paid him $100 million. So you got all these musos going, why the fuck did they give him all the money that essentially I'm making to tip into his coffins? So they were waiting. They were waiting for him to slip up because they're filthy that he got such a big contract.
Yeah. But then it was pretty easily solved when Neil Young was like, or Neil Diamond or whoever it was. Neil Diamond, wasn't it?
Neil
Young. It was Neil Young.
Oh,
No,
Neil Young.
Neil Diamond's dead.
When it was Neil Young, was it Neil Finn? No, when Neil Young said, "If you don't, I'm going to pull myself off as Joe Rogan's on here."
Astronaut? First guy on the moon.
Armstrong. Neil Armstrong said,
it was Neil Armstrong.
All archival vision is pulled.
Did Lance take his potty off?
Lance said, I'm done.
But when Neil Young said, like, I'm not going to be on here if Joe Rogan's on here, Spotify were like, no one listens to you anymore, mate.
Did you see James Blunt's tweet about it? James Blunt said, if they don't remove Joe Rogan, I'll release new music. He is such a legend, that guy.
Yeah.
He takes any situation, goes, if I rip the piss out of myself, then I can't lose. And it just went fucking ballistic.
Yeah.
Legend.
He's clever, eh? He's clever. So I'll just quickly wrap up the COVID party thing because we got sidetracked. And like George said, if we take things out of context and you just take my last comment of me saying, let's have a COVID party. Let me just fix that.
Please do.
Just give me the forum to fix that. No immunocompromised people are invited. no one over the age of 50.
Yeah.
And no one unvaccinated.
Yeah.
If you're a
when aware is this party?
Healthy cyclist that's vaccinated and you think that it would be more timely and a more tactical time to get COVID now, given the fact that you're probably going to get it at some point in this season anyway, and you think it's better for your season and you're racing to get it now, then I'm negative now, so I can't host. But
why don't you morph it into a COVID twister party? Because obviously you need to breathe on each other or whatever, but you need an activity to really bring them tight. Like fire up the old twister board. That'd be great fun.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right. I think we need to give the COVID parties a wide berth and just wash your hands and wear a mask.
That's it.
Yeah, follow the government guidelines, please.
How was being back in the Pelo? How was it? First, I didn't think when you were sitting there, when you rang me that day, you'd fallen off your mountain bike with a broken shoulder or whatever it was. that you'd be racing back in before I was.
No, I tell you what, it was actually good. Like I really enjoyed being back racing in January again, because obviously last year I missed January and February and March with that wrist injury. So it's nice
Most
to
of
start
April
the
and
season.
May as well, I reckon.
Yeah, pretty much everything. It was good to start the season like on time and with the guys, and in the same boat, in the same position as everybody, having done a preseason and having come into racing at the same time. I did Mallorca. I've only done Mallorca once in my career, and it was my first year pro, 2010, 12, 13 years ago now.
Sure.
And I'll tell you what, it was a different race to what it is now.
It used to be a bit of a holiday, eh? You go to Mallorca. I went there once on my first year pro and never actually raced, but I remember the guys. I just went and I had an injury and just sat at the hotel. It was real weird. But just remember everyone just like doing extra Ks after the race and super chilled, like no one gave a shit. And now you just see like how hot guys are coming in. Like I saw some of the numbers and stuff coming out of, I think it was Valencia over the weekend, and also that Bessage race, and you just think like, holy shit, we're on here, like you don't ease into it. They don't lube you up and sort of slide you into May. It's just raw dogging from January.
I've got a question for you, Bewls. Like, given that your job's to get on the front at times, when they did the first day back, the first call up to get on the front, I saw the photo that you posted. Good to be back in the Pelo, but it was the classic
your only pull for the day.
Yeah, it was the classic Bewley on the front, and you do the pulling face, like that real, like the fucking
blowing
gritting
out
the teeth,
to the cheeks.
blowing. Yeah. How much of when they went to the front were you thinking, fuck yeah, this has got Instagram written all over it?
Well, I am pretty renowned for looking for cameras when I'm racing. It is something
You're one
that
of
I
those guys
do
that
quite
won't
often.
start pulling until the TV,
That's it.
because normally like they don't show the first half of the race on TV, and then halfway through a race, the TV camera suddenly appears, and you're like, oh yeah, we're on Eurosport now, and then you'll be like, oh boys, I'm gonna start pulling.
Yeah.
Now they did want me to pull 20k earlier, but I said, oh, let's just wait 20k. Let's just see how the race pans out. But really, I was waiting for the TV motorbikes to come past. No, it was good it was actually good. It was a good way to start, because I just come in from New Zealand, and I was like still getting over a bit of jet lag and everything. And actually that day that I started was the second day. It was my first day, but it was the second day of the series of races. And it was the easier one of the five, I suppose. So we had good options there with Bling and Dion for it was going to be a reduced gallop that day. And yeah, we had one of the, if not the favorite for the race for that stage, was a pretty hard climb, like 20k to go. So it was going to be a reduced bunch sprint. So there was obviously a lot of sense in riding for us. And it was good just to open the pipes up, because then we had like 3 days, which were, mate, they were right up your alley, George. Nearly 4,000 meters of climbing. They were big mountain days. And I don't know if you've raced on the roads of Mallorca, but they're some of the most technical mountain roads I've ever used. They're really, really slippery. Although it was dry, the roads are super slippery there. I don't know why.
It's the olives, eh? I reckon.
Yeah,
I think it's like an olive plantation, and you just crash all the time, eh?
Yeah,
It's
super
a dusty
slippery
island.
and real technical, real narrow, real technical descents. And basically, what happened was the mountain days would just race full gas from the start, because we would typically hit a climb after about 30 or 40k, and it'd be a 10k climb, solid climb, not really hard, maybe 5% for 10k or something. But the whole bunch was just racing for the top because of the downhills. So like we would ride these climbs so solid, just trying to keep your leaders in position, that, like, for example, I basically did about 60k stint on the start of the third stage, where I was just having to basically effectively pull on the front, even though I wasn't, just to keep our team.
Yeah,
in
you're
position,
not even riding, eh?
Just for the
but you're riding
just
front.
for the downhill, and the races were happening. The races were happening on the downhills. Like the bunches were splitting. The first major split of the race would happen on the downhill, and then that would be a reduced bunch, then go into the following climbs, and then it would be raced
I've seen
a
a lot
more
of this
traditionally
evolving. Like it's all about like making splits, right? Because Jesus, this dog is pretty persistent. there's because you look at the gravel and the stuff that's coming in. You know, I look at so over the weekend there was Saudi Tour, which had a massive gravel section, and then full gas costumes, and then you have Valencia that had a uphill with it was basically like mountain biking, and then you have Mallorca with like unreal downhills, everything splitting. So like, yeah, sure, you've got to be like strong, but how much of it now you've actually just got to be like in the right place or on the right side of luck or on everything like that. And it's because everything's looking like, and it's actually not what we need. Like I saw Trenton was saying actually like, I don't know how much of this we need in racing anymore because like it's hard enough. Like I said, it's January, everyone's coming in on July form, and then they're adding in these mental sectors, and you're just wondering like, is the race is spicy enough without us hitting a mountain bike section on a gravel race, or you know what I mean? Like it's all just getting more and more and more.
You guys are
spectacle
just pawns for entertainment at the end of the day.
Mate.
Like that's it.
There was a couple of you listeners would have seen last week. I reached out to you guys on social media to send us some questions, and there's actually a couple of questions that were sent that tie in really well to what we're talking about right now. The first one was, and my bad, I didn't write down anyone's names. I just wrote down the questions, so apologies. For the
That's
people
the whole point. They want their name read out. You just
well,
fuck their moment. Anyway, next
sorry.
time.
The first one was about is the new level of racing here to stay, or are people just burning themselves out? You know, like we came out of this lockdown in 2020 and the racing started at a whole new level. Is it going to start at this, or is it eventually the candle going to burn out? Well, I think the answer is yes. It's going to start at this and probably just get fucking faster.
Exactly. You imagine what like there'll be three numpties sitting around in tears with a podcast talking about how much faster it's got and how easy it was when they started in 2020.
Yeah.
And we're going, that was easy, was it?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What are they doing? 8 watts a kilo up the climbs and fucking downhill single track. You know, like,
and exactly, and that I think the nature, like Mallorca's funny because that race has always been on. That race it's a good race. The roads are designed in the way that they're designed, and that's how they are. And there's no options there. Like there's only one hill range. We basically rode the same climb, you know, one way or another every day. So the roads are technical there, yeah. So it encourages a different type of tactic to racing. Like racing has changed. 5 years ago, people wouldn't be using downhills so much as a tactic in the race, which they are now. So that's obviously bred through this new level of racing as well. And then the other question was about this gravel section in Valencia and what we think about it. Should that gravel section be in there? And quite frankly, no, it shouldn't. Like in my opinion.
Well,
because
it depends who you're trying to. It depends It depends who you're trying to please, though, isn't it? Because like ultimately, right, we are entertainers, and if you step back from the fact that if you imagine you didn't have to ride that bit, you didn't have to race, and you didn't have to, you know, fight to be in there in the front and all this shit, does it make the race more entertaining? And arguably, it does. Even though
for sure,
it's the last thing I want to do.
They love that chopper shot of gravel sectors because the dust flecks
and it does
up.
It does make it. Yeah, it's dramatic. And the thing is, like, it's a full circle, right? We need to be more appealing to the public, to make the sport bigger, to benefit us, you know, financially or whatever, profile, whatever you want to do. But like, fuck, I'm the same as you. The last thing I want to do is tear into a gravel section. My first pro race, I left half my face on a cobble section just trying to get into it, you know, break my teeth off, stitches in my face, everything. And I was like, that scarred me for life. I thought of like racing into these sections. But so it doesn't benefit us short term or whatever, however much you want to do it. But I guess like full circle, does it get more people excited about sport? Maybe. Do we want to do it? Definitely not.
My argument for why that section of road shouldn't have been in Valencia is simple, I reckon. Before people start going, but there's Strade Bianche and there's Paris-Roubaix and stuff. Well, Paris-Roubaix is from start to finish, it's cobbles. The race is a cobble race. You turn up with equipment and everything for that race, and the race is dictated by the cobblestones, and it has been for 100 years. Strade Bianche is a gravel race. It's a one-day gravel race. The one feature of Strade Bianche is the gravel roads. The race is won and lost on the gravel. again, you come with the same equipment. But both those races are examples of races that their features are those things. You know, Tour of Valencia is a 5-day stage race that is raced for 893 kilometers on tarmac and for 7 kilometers on gravel. And
and that 7 kilometers fucked a few people up.
And that 7 kilometers was going to have a greater bearing on the race, more likely from mechanical issues or from punches or from shit that shouldn't be happening. People are going to lose races for bad luck, from having a puncture or whatever. The feature of Tour of Valencia is not gravel. It's a stage race that has a mountain, it has a sprint stage, and it has a fucking in-between stage. And the best bike rider across those 3 featured stages across the week wins the race. It's not a race that should be defined by 3 or 4 kilometers of rocky gravel. That's not what the race is.
Yeah.
You know, that's what whereas Paris-Roubaix is that. Strade Bianche is that. But a stage race that's raced entirely on tarmac, apart from this one fucking section of 5 minutes that can change the whole result, for me, it doesn't make sense.
No, okay.
Well, I'm looking at the comments when you posted on social about topics, and it's always good when you get a comedian that chimes in with a couple of just random ones. Like Jason Allen threw out, how would each of you go about handcuffing a one-armed man? It's such a great question, because I stopped and I thought, oh, well, handcuffing a one-armed man, okay, it'd be tricky, but surely there's a way. Surely the police have a system. And I was thinking, oh, maybe you could handcuff it to his belt. No, he'll get out of that.
I'd handcuff to his ankle.
That's it. That's what I do. Like straight down to the ankle and just
human pretzel him.
That's it. So we always have a solution on the show. You know, we may not sound smart, but we get the job done. If it's handcuffed,
we'll give a shout out.
No worries.
We'll give a shout out to Jason Allen as well. Went through the track program with him as a younger man. He was a few years ahead of me in the New Zealand track team. He was a bloody good track cyclist, big Jason Allen. So
and then he backed it up with,
mate.
Was the water boy really correct in saying that water is better than Gatorade?
No.
I think it.
No, yes.
It is. Gatorade's just full of sugar.
Yeah.
So
water's the elixir of
life.
life.
See, I hate water. You'll never see me drink a glass of water. I only hydrate with cups of tea. Yeah. Or like, you'll never see me just get a glass of water. It's the worst thing in the world.
Why is that? Is that you scarred as a kid or something?
I don't know. It's something my old man does. I've never seen him in 32 years. I've never seen him drink a glass of water in my life.
Someone else said
a liter of milk. He'll literally just
Clyde Rod says, question number 4, what is worse, Australian Bogan fans at the Australian Open or punching on with a 7-year-old trying to get George Bennett's autograph when he's on a bad day? Now that is a great scenario. Because I was actually all for.
Wait, who's punching on? Who's punching on with a 7-year-old?
They've got this thing in their head that George just hates people. I don't know where they got it from on this podcast. And when he's on a bad day, he'd punch on with a 7-year-old trying to get his autograph. Then we need to clear it up.
And I'd lose.
George sells you a character. At the core, he's actually a good person. And in that scenario, I reckon even on his worst day, he would sign. He just has days where he's just over people. And then when we force him to do a podcast, when he's in that moment, we get gold. That's all it is.
I'm actually a bit socialed out at the moment. We had a lot of weddings on Saturday night. So I was a groomsman for my mate, and the MC was stuck in Aussie, and so pretty late. He's like, "Oh mate, I'm real stuck here. Doing an MC for me." Oh, I don't really want to, but I will. And I tell you what, that is I didn't think much about it until I sort of got there on the day, and I was like, "Holy shit!" There's actually I feel like quite a lot of responsibility here for a very disorganized person to run a wedding. And my first like organizational error was like, "All right, guys, time to trying to send everybody up to eat." And I was like, "Oh, we'll just go table by table kind of thing, send them up." And then the bride was like, "What are you doing? They're serving it. They come to us." And I was like, "Oh, I have one job." And I'm like, just sending people roguely. But yeah, anyway, we survived it.
There's always ways with wedding speeches you can rip like classic ones off the net, and there's always these one-liners that always work. Like I remember I was best man at a mate's wedding and just downloaded like best man speech or whatever. And the opening line was, "Well, weddings all based on tradition. They say that the best man speech should go for as long as the groom's lovemaking. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much." And then just put the mic down. Like, yeah, that's the icebreaker. Then they're like, "Oh, we're away. We're away." Just ripped it off some dude
The
in the
best man
States.
here opened with a cracker. He goes, "Oh, like I could tell you a lot of naughty stories about the groom, but he told me that if I do a good job of being the best man at this wedding, he'd let me be the best man at his next one."
It's always a fun line when the groom gets up, particularly if he's had a skinful. And
a real
that
skinful.
yeah, you know that the groom, all right, great bloke, but geez, I hope he doesn't go down a rabbit hole here. And it's always when you feel that it's going down that rabbit hole and you're wanting to go like, pull out, mate. I just end up looking at like the oldest person in the room to see their reaction. And it's always just cringe, They always look at their partner like, and they pause, and it's always that look of, "We'll talk about this later. This is just, I'm here," And there's some people that just got no filter, and they get up there and they don't know the audience, and when they don't know who they're talking to, it's just recipe for disaster on the biggest day. I love it.
Don't even tell them that we cut it.
My confidence is shot on this show now after you called me Steve Jobs. I can't unsee it, eh?
But I reckon it's great. I reckon bring back. There's not enough blokes that wear black turtlenecks because of Steve Jobs. They don't want that tag.
You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to come back even more Steve Jobs like.
Oh, Pills is done. So when's your next race, George? What? He's gone. Steve Jobs has left the building.
I'm racing nationals on Friday. I leave Europe. So I leave to Europe tomorrow. I got to pack. I've done a real good last minute.
Okay, that is Jobs.
All right. Sam Julia's back. I've left everything until today to pack and see everybody. I'm doing the last minute rip round with friends, trying to catch everybody before I leave. But I'm out of here tomorrow, mate. Summer's done.
You're not doing the
nationals. And then go to
You're
Abu
leaving
Dhabi.
on a good note. You're leaving on a good note. Everyone's mates. You haven't teed off. You've had a good trip in New Zealand. You appreciate it, and you're just going to go, "Yep, we're all on good terms. All good."
Yeah, that's so far the case, but there's still time.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I fly at 10 a.m. tomorrow, so always time to offend everybody and feel like I have to run for the hills, which is probably a good way to do it.
Well, I think it worked better for you, Bills, the fact that you raced straight away. You didn't have that 2-week downtime after being in New Zealand, sitting in Girona going, fuck. Straight into a race, straight into COVID. It just occupied your mind, if anything. I think it was perfect.
Yeah, well, I landed on midday Friday, drove straight to Andorra, got up there, and then realised that when I left New Zealand in shorts, t-shirt and in jandals, I should have got changed at the airport before I drove to Andorra, where it was minus 18 degrees. And I got out of my car and I was like, fuck, it's cold here with jandals on. And then I spent 4 or 5 days there and then went straight to Mallorca, and got COVID. But now I had a negative test today, so I'll be back.
Does that mean you're
soon,
usually stuck inside the whole time?
Yeah. It's like 7 days isolation. Yeah. If you when you get it. And then so yeah, since then, so tomorrow's 7 days. And it was funny. Like I felt pretty shit for a couple of days, but then now 6 days on, I was negative on a antigen test.
Hey, you put a random video on the WhatsApp group. I haven't watched it. It's titled "The Greatest Television Interview Ever."
Oh yeah, I tried to ask you to
I have. I've got it. I haven't seen it.
Don't play it. We'll give you some context to it. So yesterday, New Zealand won its first ever gold medal at the Winter Olympics. Which is
shit.
Yeah.
What did you win
in? We won it in snowboard big air, and 20-year-old girl from Wanaka, Zoe.
Oh, the Aussie. She was born in Australia, so this is the first time that you've claimed an Aussie, because we always pinch New Zealanders like Russell Crowe and all those
Well, you
sort
can
of.
have him. We're keeping Zoe.
You will trade your Russell for Zoe.
But you can have the gold, no worries, because we finished third, and they're besties, those two. So
Yeah, right. So yeah, it was the first. She was a favourite going in. She'd been winning. She won the X Games and a few other World Cups like the weeks leading up to the games, and she was favourite to win, and she did. And then they interviewed her old man at the boozer where he was watching it with all the family and friends, and this is what they got.
All right, let's play it.
She was fucking crazy. She just went off the roof.
How proud are you right now? Your daughter's just become the first Kiwi to win a winter gold ever.
I'm pretty fucking excited, to be honest. And
That was
This
live.
is live.
That was live on primetime news. 6
What a
p.m.
That was
legend.
So
What a
good, eh?
legend. There's certain times where F-bombs you can get away with it. And I reckon in that instance, like
Oh,
parents
and your
talking to their
daughter's just won
kids
New
go,
Zealand's exactly first ever gold medal. She's a hero of New Zealand,
yeah,
and he's just a slur, eh?
that's
Do you reckon
awesome.
that's now going to become New Zealand's most famous interview? Like we have like a couple of famous like lines where the policeman was like blow on the pie. I think from New Zealand's like blow on the pie. That was real big. There's a bunch of things that sort of went around New Zealand, and I think that's going to be the new one. When people said, "How are you?" and you just say, "Oh, I'm pretty fucking excited."
And it's like it's going to become such a famous interview for the interview itself, but also like off the back of her daughter winning New Zealand's first ever Winter Olympics gold medal. You know, like it's pretty unreal for a good little old New Zealand. Like I suppose we've got good snow and stuff, but it's pretty huge. Like we won a couple of. I think she was one of the ones who won a silver. We won 2 silvers at the last ones in Pyeongchang, and then before that, I think the last Olympic medal we won at the Winter Olympics was Annalise Koberger in like I don't even know when that was. Someone will tell me in the 90s though.
Did I see correctly that Jamaica actually has a bobsled team at the Winter
Yeah,
Olympics?
they're back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
How
we
they
had
getting on?
I don't know. Everyone will be tuning in though, because Cool Runnings is just one of the all-time classics. Like you'd just be rooting for them. But we had the curlers. We had like the first male-female curlers that ever qualified. And talk about COVID, they were in the top 10 battling for a medal, positive test on the flight home.
No way.
Oh, no way.
Tell your story walking. Yep. Shattered. But you were talking about the first ever Kiwi gold medalist. I love the fact that our first ever Aussie one was Stephen Bradbury, you know?
Yeah.
And to
We've
have
done a whole
everyone get
episode
skittled
about
in the
Bradbury.
Yeah. Awesome. Fucking
Look to
incredible.
the archives. Jonesy's put together a video. You can go find that.
Yeah. And he was such a dude.
All right,
guy.
guys. I'm running out of time in the office here, so I probably need to.
Yeah.
But,
well, we got some big announcements coming up soon, Bills. Like I've worn this hat strategically because it looks like merch could be on the horizon.
We've got to announce the winner of the intro competition before George goes quickly.
Oh yeah, do we know who the winner was?
No. That would have required preparation. And I was too shit scared to go the early crow. I'll leave it up to George and bloody Sam. You make the call.
I reckon that we need to. I think that we had about 5 or 6 entries, and they're all bloody good.
Yeah.
And they were all good in their own ways. Some were a bit long. Some of them maybe didn't quite suit the show. But ultimately, they were all
one of them
fucking
made me want to
entertaining.
chop my ears off.
It was a good effort. So I think that since we only had 5 entries, that everybody who entered send us your address on Instagram, direct message us on Instagram, and we'll send you all a shirt. How's that?
Yep.
And we're just gonna cycle through a few intros, try them all on for size, I reckon.
Yeah, and then we'll just stick with the original.
Yeah, that's it. After all that process, we just go back to the original. Yeah. No, we'll update it. We'll update it because there'll be a new clip when George wins it again. And he'll go, George did it instead of baby, you'd be something else. And then they can interview George's dad and they go, how's it feel? He'll go, oh, fucking amazing, mate. This is fucking incredible. He's going back to back. It'd be awesome.
He'd be like, what's he done this time?
Yeah. What's that white jersey you get?
We also appreciate everybody that reached out with questions and topics. We had a shitload actually, and we only got through a couple today. So I think that there's some actually really good ones that I'd like to touch on. So let's make it a regular segment until we get through the ones that we want to get through. So next couple of weeks we'll bang out. Keep firing them through if you've got any, but we'll make our way through 2 or 3 topics a week, for a little while now. And we didn't touch on a lot of things that I've written down that we should have really touched on. Bernal had a bad crash. Glad he's out of hospital.
Oh yeah, the
sending
Bernal
our wishes
crash.
to him.
Man, that's nuts, eh? That was pretty crazy, right? Like, and I remember we said this would through me too. If there's someone that can, come back from it, it would be him. But pretty amazing outlook. And this is a bizarre sort of take on things. But like, hold on, I got a dog out. Mom's calling. Is that you?
Fucking dog.
Yeah, I know.
It's like George is going to make a good point here.
He's going right. I think he's out of there, and like if that was me, any of us three, we would just be sitting down as hell. Like holy shit, I'm broken 20 fractures. My year's over, probably. And he's going. He's somehow got this outlook. He's like, I even thank God for giving me this challenge. And I was like, man, that would be such an awesome weapon in your inventory if you really believed that. If you really believe like this was a challenge that God has given me, and I'm gonna, I want to thank him for this and this. You just be like, that'd make your life so much easier, wouldn't it? If you truly believe that, and you go, well, okay. Whereas, me who would never believe that, I'd go, fuck, it was just bad luck, or I fucked up that corner, or that, that guy made a mistake in the bus or whatever. So it's pretty interesting how different people's beliefs or whatever can create like a different outlook, which I could never understand. I could never understand that outlook. But like if you genuinely believed it, what a weapon that would be.
Oh shit,
yeah.
Great point.
And yeah, I mean, I guess there's not really much to say about it. The poor bastard.
Feel for him, don't
fucking nut. Feel for him. Nasty crash. And I mean, all we can do is send him his wishes as a person before a bike rider. Just fucking get healthy, mate, and then worry about riding your bike once it's happened.
Yeah, make sure it's probably not that important, bike riding when you break. What did he break? Neck? Broke his neck, kneecap, punctured lung, spine.
Femur.
Yeah, the femur's the big one as a rider. That's the hardest to come back from. And he was a beestick off paraplegic, like spinal cord.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
but he walked out of hospital yesterday. So chapeau, Bernal, keep it up, keep it going, mate, and we'll see you back in the. Don't come to Mallorca next year, but we'll see you somewhere.
Especially the
and I just
downhill.
know, having raced against such a mad dog, he'll be the first guy just hooking into a gravel section.
Yeah.
Sliding it on 2 wheels at 100k an hour.
Yeah.
Winning Grandies. He'll probably win the Welter.
All right,
boys.
Right.
No worries.
So everyone who sent an entry in, send us your details on Instagram, and we'll send you, or wherever you fucking sent the video, and we'll send you a kit of some sort. There'll be a bit of an assortment, licorice, all sorts. You might get a
2015
UAE
jumbo kit.
Yeah, you might get a New Zealand kit from
old pair of
2005
Nicks.
Junior Worlds.
Unwashed.
You might get a 2001 Tour de Vineyards King of the Mountains jersey.
And if, I was going to say something, but I won't throw Hannah under the bus. We'll leave it. Like, share, subscribe, everyone. Thanks for listening.
And guess what? By the time we do the next step, we'll have a big announcement. We've heard everyone say for a year and a half, what the fuck's going on with merch? We finally think we've got a solution, and we'll announce it in 2 weeks. And we've never talked this up and not delivered. Remember that?
Yeah. Just get your pre-orders in 2030.